The Zone of Silence, Earth's dead point deep in the sun-scorched Chihuahua Desert of northern Mexico, on roughly the same latitude as the Bermuda Triangle and the Great Pyramids of Egypt, lies a place known as the Zone of Silence. The name sounds like something from a science fiction novel, but the location is real. Travelers and researchers have long reported strange communication problems in this remote region. Radio signals often fade or disappear, compasses sometimes behave unpredictably, and electronic equipment can experience unusual interference. Because of these reports, the area has gained a reputation as one of the most mysterious locations in North America. Scientists studying the region generally point to natural explanations. The desert contains unusual geological formations and mineral deposits that may affect electromagnetic signals. The rugged terrain can also block or distort radio transmissions, especially in an era when early explorers relied on limited equipment. Over time, these technical problems helped create the legend that the area somehow swallows signals and disrupts navigation. The region also became famous after a U.S. Athena rocket-carrying experimental material accidentally fell in the area in 1970, which briefly attracted international attention and led to scientific teams studying the desert more closely. Since then, the Zone of Silence has been the subject of many stories involving meteorites, unusual plant mutations, and strange visual phenomena caused by extreme desert conditions. Despite the dramatic reputation, most researchers believe the strange effects reported there can be explained by a combination of geology, atmospheric conditions, and the remoteness of the terrain rather than any supernatural force. Yet the legend of the Zone of Silence continues to fascinate people around the world. The isolation of the desert, the silence of its vast landscape, and the occasional technological anomalies have made it a place where science, folklore, and mystery naturally collide. For explorers and storytellers alike, it remains a reminder that even on a well-mapped planet, there are still corners of the Earth that capture the human imagination and invite us to question what we truly understand about the world around us. Bhangarh Fort, India. The officially cursed city, in the very heart of India's Rajasthan state, rise the grim, time-scarred ruins of Bhangarh Fort. It is the only place on the entire planet where government bureaucracy, usually blind and deaf to anything paranormal, was forced to officially surrender, on a legislative level, to a primitive otherworldly terror. At the very foot of these ancient walls, the Government Archaeological Service installed a chilling metal sign. Entry into the fort area is strictly prohibited from sunset to sunrise. The official authorities, pathologically afraid of mass panic, awkwardly and cowardly justify this unprecedented quarantine with the mundane threat of wild tiger attacks, the absence of electric lighting, and the risk of collapsing stone structures. We are seriously expected to believe that an entire ministry took such extreme measures because of ordinary nocturnal predators and crumbling masonry. But this absurd lie, stitched together with white thread, exists only to hide from the world the true mind-paralyzing reason for this absolute nighttime ban. Masters of dark tantric practices, demonologists, and researchers of cursed archives know the real, blood-soaked history of this dead city. Bhangarh is not simply an abandoned architectural monument deserted because of drought or war. It is the colossal epicenter of one of the most powerful, best and indestructible occult curses in human history. Ancient texts claim that a powerful black magician unleashed the full fury of infernal wrath upon the city, sealing its fate forever in a single night. Academic science laughs at this, dismissing it as a beautiful fairy tale for gullible tourists. But for those who understand the physics of subtle realms, it was no myth. It was an act of total magical terror, a monstrous eruption of dark astral energy that fused itself into every stone and every street of this city, forever distorting and poisoning the fabric of the material world here. As soon as the last ray of sunlight slips below the horizon, and the protective energy of the day fades, Bhangarh ceases to obey the laws of earthly physics. The territory of the fort instantly plunges into a state of dense, tangible frequency distortion. Numerous daredevils, skeptics with cameras, and thrill-seekers who attempted to secretly remain here after nightfall were not torn apart by mythical leopards. They simply vanished into the darkness without a trace, leaving behind not a drop of blood, not a shred of clothing, not a single sound on recording devices. Their physical bodies were instantly consumed by the chthonic horror that awakens within these ruins after nightfall. The government of India did not hang heavy chains on these gates to save you from falling stones. They did it because they know perfectly well, after sunset, Bhangarh Fort becomes a gigantic pulsating trap for human souls, an open maw of the abyss where the boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the dead is forever erased. Skinwalker Ranch, USA, the Pentagon's paranormal laboratory. In a remote, isolated valley of the Uinta Basin in Utah lies a piece of land that has become one of the most heavily guarded, classified, and mysterious locations on the planet. This is the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. For decades, officials, media outlets, and academic researchers have tried to present calm explanations for the strange stories connected to this place. Some say the events reported there are simply old Navajo legends, misunderstandings fueled by fear, unusual geological gases, or rare geomagnetic anomalies. Others suggest that the rumors are exaggerated tales that grew larger with time. Yet the ranch has attracted the attention of wealthy private owners, scientific teams, and even government-funded research programs. At various times, organizations connected to the U.S. government reportedly funded investigations into unusual phenomena at the site, investing millions of dollars into studies intended to document and analyze unexplained events. Researchers involved in these programs claim that the ranch produced a wide range of strange reports. Witnesses described unidentified lights moving silently across the sky, unusual electromagnetic disturbances affecting equipment, and sightings of unexplained aerial objects. In some accounts, observers reported seeing shapes or figures that seemed to appear and disappear suddenly, as if emerging from nowhere. These reports led some investigators to speculate that the ranch might be located in an area with unusual environmental or electromagnetic characteristics that could affect perception, technology, or atmospheric conditions. Because of the persistent stories and ongoing investigations, Skinwalker Ranch eventually became surrounded by tight security, surveillance systems, and restricted access. Some researchers hoped that the location might help reveal unknown natural phenomena, while others approached it with curiosity about whether the reports had psychological, environmental, or technological explanations. Despite years of study, the ranch remains surrounded by mystery. For skeptics, it represents a place where rumors, folklore, and misinterpretations grew into a modern legend. For believers, it may be evidence that certain places on Earth produce phenomena we do not yet fully understand. Either way, Skinwalker Ranch continues to attract attention from scientists, investigators, and storytellers who are fascinated by the possibility that our world may still contain unexplained corners waiting to be understood. Hoia Baciu Forest, Romania, the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. In the heart of Romania's Transylvania region, not far from the ancient city of Cluj-Napoca, stretches the dense Hoia Baciu Forest, a place that many visitors describe as strangely unsettling. Botanists, ecologists, and foresters who study the area often point to natural explanations for its unusual appearance. They talk about soil composition, wind patterns, and genetic variations that can influence how trees grow. According to these explanations, the twisted trunks and oddly curved branches seen throughout the forest may be the result of environmental conditions, such as uneven sunlight, soil nutrients, or natural growth disturbances over long periods of time. Yet, Hoia Baciu has developed a reputation that goes far beyond ordinary forestry. For decades, the forest has been associated with reports of strange lights, unexplained electrical disturbances, and unusual physical sensations experienced by some visitors. People have described sudden feelings of nausea, headaches, anxiety, or skin irritation while walking through certain areas. Scientists who study these claims often suggest that environmental factors, such as airborne spores, plants that can cause allergic reactions, or subtle electromagnetic variations, may play a role in these experiences. What has made Hoia Baciu particularly famous, however, are the stories surrounding disorientation and lost time. Some visitors claim that while walking through the forest, they briefly lost track of time or direction, only to later realize that far more time had passed than they initially believed. Psychologists note that environments with dense vegetation, limited landmarks, and unfamiliar terrain can easily affect human perception of time and orientation, especially when people are already expecting something unusual to happen. Despite these possible explanations, Hoia Baciu remains one of Europe's most discussed paranormal locations. The unusual shapes of the trees, the quiet atmosphere, and the many stories told by visitors have earned it the nickname the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. Whether the strange reports are caused by environmental factors, psychological effects, or simply the powerful influence of local folklore, the forest continues to attract researchers, explorers, and curious travelers who want to experience its mysterious atmosphere for themselves. Skeleton Lake, Rupkund, Himalayas. The mystery of the mountain dead. High in the Himalayas, at an altitude of about 5,000 meters, lies a small glacial lake known as Rupkund, often called Skeleton Lake. For most of the year, the lake remains frozen beneath thick ice and snow. But when the ice briefly melts during the short summer season, the water reveals a chilling sight. Hundreds of human skeletons scattered along the lake bed and surrounding shore. For many years, scientists tried to explain how so many people ended up in such a remote and dangerous place. Early theories suggested that the remains belonged to a single group of travelers or pilgrims who died during a sudden and violent storm. Some researchers proposed that an unusually intense hailstorm may have struck a group of people crossing the high mountain pass centuries ago, with large hailstones causing fatal head injuries. However, more recent scientific studies have revealed that the mystery is far more complex. Genetic and radiocarbon analysis of the skeletons showed that they did not all die at the same time. Instead, the remains appear to belong to multiple groups of people who arrived at the lake during different historical periods. Some individuals died around 1,000 years ago, while others appear to have died centuries later. Even more surprising, genetic evidence suggests that the people came from very different regions of the world, rather than a single local community. These findings have transformed Rupkund from a simple historical mystery into a much more intriguing archaeological puzzle. Why did groups of people from different places and time periods travel to such a remote and dangerous location? Some historians believe the lake may have been located along ancient pilgrimage routes used during religious journeys through the Himalayas. Others suggest that travelers may have died due to severe weather, altitude sickness, or difficult terrain. Local folklore also adds another layer to the story. In regional legends, the deaths are sometimes connected to the wrath of the mountain goddess Nanda Devi, who was said to punish those who disrespected the sacred mountains. While scientists approach the mystery through archaeology and genetics, these cultural traditions reflect how people historically tried to explain tragic events in harsh mountain environments. Today, Rupkund remains one of the most haunting archaeological sites in the world. The extreme altitude, freezing conditions, and the haunting presence of hundreds of ancient skeletons continue to raise questions about the people who died there and the journeys that led them into the high Himalayas centuries ago. Mount Kailash, Tibet, the axis of the world and a break in time. In the remote windswept plateau of Tibet rises a massive pyramid of dark rock and eternal snow, Mount Kailash. Unlike many of the world's tallest peaks, this mountain has never been officially climbed. Governments, mountaineering organizations, and religious authorities explain that climbing Kailash is prohibited out of respect for the spiritual traditions of several religions, including Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon, all of which consider the mountain sacred. According to these traditions, Kailash is believed to be the dwelling place of divine forces, and pilgrims honor it not by climbing the peak, but by walking a ritual path around it. Because of this religious significance, the mountain has remained untouched by mountaineering expeditions, even though modern climbing technology would theoretically make an ascent possible. The surrounding region is also extremely remote and difficult to access, with harsh weather, high altitude, and limited infrastructure making exploration challenging. Yet the mystery surrounding Mount Kailash goes far beyond religion and geography. The mountain's near-perfect pyramid shape and its isolated location have sparked fascination among travelers, researchers, and writers for decades. Some people believe the mountain may hold symbolic or even cosmic significance in ancient cultures, while others see its unique shape as a result of natural geological processes that formed the surrounding Himalayan landscape over millions of years. Stories have also circulated among travelers and pilgrims about unusual sensations experienced near the mountain. Some visitors claim that the environment feels strangely powerful or overwhelming, while others report losing track of time during the demanding high-altitude pilgrimage around the base of the peak. Scientists usually attribute these experiences to the effects of altitude, physical exhaustion, and the intense psychological atmosphere created by a place considered sacred by millions of people. Despite these explanations, Mount Kailash continues to occupy a unique place in the imagination of both believers and explorers. To many spiritual traditions, it represents the axis mundi, the center of the world, a symbolic point connecting heaven, earth, and the spiritual realm. Whether viewed as a sacred mountain, a geological wonder, or simply one of the last untouched peaks on Earth, Mount Kailash remains one of the most mysterious and revered places on the planet. The Paris Catacombs, the unexplored lower levels. Beneath the bright, lively boulevards of Paris lies a vast underground network that stretches for hundreds of kilometers. Known as the Paris Catacombs, these tunnels hold the remains of millions of people whose bones were transferred there in the late 18th century, when the city's cemeteries became overcrowded. Today, only a small portion of this immense labyrinth is open to the public as an official historical site, carefully maintained and illuminated for visitors. The rest of the tunnels remain closed and are strictly regulated by authorities. Heavy gates block many entrances, and special police units patrol the underground passages to prevent unauthorized exploration. Officials explain that these restrictions exist primarily for safety reasons. Large sections of the tunnels are unstable, prone to flooding, or extremely confusing to navigate without proper maps and equipment. The labyrinth extends so far beneath the city that it is easy for explorers to become lost in the darkness. Despite these explanations, the catacombs have long attracted urban explorers known as cataphiles. Some of them illegally enter the restricted areas, searching for hidden chambers, forgotten tunnels, and unusual underground structures left behind from centuries of quarrying and construction. Over the years, explorers have discovered strange artworks, secret meeting rooms, and even small underground cinemas built by groups who use the tunnels as hidden gathering places. Stories about mysterious experiences in the deeper sections of the catacombs have also circulated among explorers. Some report hearing strange echoes, losing their sense of direction, or feeling intense psychological pressure from the darkness and isolation of the underground environment. Psychologists note that deep underground spaces can strongly affect perception and emotional state, especially when people are surrounded by darkness, silence, and the awareness that millions of human remains are stored nearby. Today, the Paris catacombs remain one of the most fascinating and eerie underground sites in the world. Part historical monument, part urban legend, the labyrinth continues to inspire curiosity and mystery. While scientists and historians explain the tunnels through geology and history, the atmosphere of the catacombs, endless corridors lined with bones beneath one of the world's most famous cities, ensures that they will always carry an unsettling sense of the unknown. Mount Osore, Japan, the gates of hell, on the windswept northern edge of Japan's main island of Honshu, lies a barren volcanic landscape known as Mount Osore, or Osorezan. At first glance, the area looks almost otherworldly, gray ground cracked by geothermal heat, pools of bubbling mineral water, and thick clouds of sulfur rising from the earth. Geologists and seismologists explain that the harsh environment is the result of intense volcanic activity beneath the region. The sulfur gases and mineral deposits give the rocks their unusual colors, rust red, pale yellow, and chalky white, and prevent most plants from growing in the area. Yet Mount Osore has long held a much deeper cultural meaning in Japanese tradition. In Buddhist and Shinto belief, the mountain is considered one of the places where the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead feels especially close. Many people associate it with the Sanzu River, a mythical river that souls are said to cross after death. Because of this symbolism, the area has become an important spiritual site where people travel to remember loved ones and reflect on the afterlife. One of the most unusual traditions connected to Mount Osore involves the Atako, blind female shamans who historically served as spiritual mediums in northern Japan. During certain gatherings, these mediums perform rituals in which they are believed to communicate with the spirits of the deceased, delivering messages to grieving families. While modern researchers often interpret these practices through cultural and psychological perspectives, the rituals remain a powerful part of the region's spiritual heritage. Visitors to Mount Osore often describe the landscape as haunting and unforgettable. The silent plains are scattered with small stone piles and offerings left by families, sometimes toys or personal items placed there in memory of children who passed away. The combination of the stark volcanic terrain, the sulfuric air, and the deep spiritual traditions connected to the site has led many people to refer to Mount Osore as the Gates of Hell. Today, the area is carefully managed as both a sacred religious location and a unique natural environment. Wooden walkways guide visitors safely through the geothermal fields while protecting the fragile terrain. For scientists, it represents an unusual volcanic landscape shaped by powerful geological forces. For pilgrims and believers, however, Mount Osore remains something far more profound, a place where the natural world and the spiritual imagination have been intertwined for centuries. Centralia, USA, the burning town and the fire beneath. In the heart of Pennsylvania lies a nearly abandoned town that has become one of the most famous ghost towns in the United States. This place is Centralia. Once a small mining community, it was largely evacuated after an underground coal fire began burning beneath the town in 1962. Over the decades, the fire spread through old coal seams deep underground, slowly making the area unsafe for residents. Most people eventually moved away as the ground became unstable, and dangerous gases occasionally escaped through cracks in the earth. Engineers and environmental scientists explain that the fire started in an abandoned coal mine and gradually spread through interconnected layers of anthracite coal. Coal fires like this can burn for extremely long periods of time because they move slowly through underground deposits that are difficult to access. As the coal burns, it creates heat, smoke, and gases that can rise through the surface, forming vents in the ground and causing sections of land to collapse. Because the fire lies deep underground and spreads through complex mine tunnels, extinguishing it would require enormous excavation projects that are often considered impractical. Over time, the government relocated most of the town's residents and removed many of the buildings. Roads were closed, and large sections of the area were declared unsafe. Today, only a few traces of the old town remain: abandoned streets, cracked pavement releasing steam from underground vents, and stretches of forest slowly reclaiming the land. Centralia's eerie landscape has captured public imagination for decades. The sight of smoke rising from the ground and the silent, empty streets of what was once a living town have inspired many stories and urban legends. The location even helped inspire elements of the fictional horror setting Silent Hill, further cementing its reputation as a haunting place. Although the scientific explanation points to a long-burning underground coal fire, the visual atmosphere of Centralia, mist drifting across deserted roads and heat rising from unseen flames below, continues to fascinate visitors, photographers, and researchers. Today, the town stands as a powerful reminder of how industrial activity and natural forces can combine to create a disaster that reshapes an entire community for generations. The Valley of Headless Men, Canada. The mystery of Nahanni. Deep within the remote wilderness of northwestern Canada lies Nahanni National Park Reserve, a vast and rugged region known for its dramatic canyons, waterfalls, and dense forests. Hidden within this landscape is an area that has long captured the imagination of explorers and storytellers, a place often referred to as the Valley of Headless Men. The name comes from a series of mysterious historical reports dating back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. During the Gold Rush era, several prospectors ventured into the Nahanni region, searching for valuable mineral deposits. Some of these explorers never returned. In a few cases where remains were later discovered, the skeletons were reportedly missing their skulls, giving rise to stories that something terrible had happened deep within the valley. Over time, these accounts became part of local legend. Some people believed the deaths were the result of violent encounters between rival prospectors competing for gold. Others suggested that the harsh environment of the region, extreme weather, dangerous terrain, and powerful wildlife such as grizzly bears could explain the disappearances. The dense forests, steep cliffs, and unpredictable rivers of the Nahanni wilderness have made the area one of the most difficult regions of Canada to explore safely. Local indigenous traditions also contribute to the mystery surrounding the valley. Certain stories describe powerful spirits or supernatural forces believed to inhabit remote parts of the wilderness. These legends have been passed down through generations and reflect the deep respect that many cultures have for the dangerous and unpredictable nature of the land. Today, the Nahanni region is protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its extraordinary natural beauty and unique geological features. While modern researchers view the stories of the Valley of Headless Men through the lens of history, environment, and folklore, the legend continues to fascinate people around the world. The combination of unexplained disappearances, harsh wilderness, and centuries of storytelling has ensured that the Nahanni Valley remains one of Canada's most enduring mysteries. We've grown used to blindly trusting the glowing satellite maps on our smartphones, naively believing that humanity has fully explored and conquered this planet. Official science, geographers, and governments have woven a comfortable, safe illusion for us. They have surrounded with barbed wire, concrete barriers, and signs reading, "Danger to life," all the places where the laws of physics, logic, and even biology itself seemed to break down. They would rather erase these locations from the map than admit their complete and humiliating helplessness. But now we've looked behind that curtain. Our planet is scattered with bleeding wounds of spatial anomalies, dead zones, and open portals from which a primitive abyss seems to stare back at us. And no military perimeter, no secret laboratory can guarantee that tomorrow, such an invisible quarantine line won't suddenly close right around your own home. Write in the comments, which of these 10 secret locations would you never risk visiting for any amount of money? And do you believe governments are hiding the true nature of these places from us? Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next dives into the cursed archives. This was Couch Detective. And remember, sometimes a sign that says "Do not enter" isn't protecting you from a fine or radiation. Sometimes it's protecting your soul. See you in the dark.